Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra and welcome to the Shamans Cave.
And I'm Renee Barabo, and we're really excited to be here with you with a really timely and important topic.
Yeah, Renee and I were talking this morning, and I keep stepping back a little bit from the outside world, which I'll weave into this conversation actually. But the people who are contacting me right now, and where I find myself being really challenged, is that now that in parts of the world, we know that in parts of the world, people are still in lockdown. But for people who have the ability to start to travel again, my husband and I went to the movies the other day. And what I'm feeling for myself and what I'm hearing from others, it's like we had a year, and now that we're starting to take little steps back into life again, it's like all of a sudden I find myself and are reflecting on what part of my life do I want to step back into again. So much of it didn't work. And with the lockdown, I had time. I'm talking, of what most people are saying in the public. With the lockdown, I've had time to reflect on that my life isn't working. And so now that we're it's going to be a slow process, but good for us that it's a slow process because it gives us a time to reflect on what does our new life look like, because we're shifting, we're changing.
I know I took a 2-day road trip with a friend, and it was really great to be sitting in a restaurant again, to have a nice meal served to us, and yet so many of the changes, like every other table, or how they accommodated how many people in the restaurant, and the hotel was taking temperatures, but then the other hotel, no one, I don't even think people were wearing masks. This whole, how do we navigate a way where we're still on a continental divide about mask, no mask? How do you move forward when there's still, now we're walking into a world where there's still a great divide, and we're walking very slowly out from our own cocoons.
Yeah, and we're walking out slowly from our own cocoons. And as Renee was saying, it's like the world out there, people are moving at their own pace. Cities, counties are making their own rules. But I think for me, the bigger issue is not going to the movies or going to the restaurants, as places become safer. For me, it's looking back at what I have been doing for the last 40 years of my life. And now, of course, I'm at the generation, and we have a young generation listening to the show, but I am at the age, it's like the COVID came into my life at the perfect time to say, Sandra Ingerman, stop. There is something different for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. And the only way for me to find out what that is, I am writing a new book, but that's me being on sabbatical. That's the definition of sabbatical for Sandra Ingerman. I love writing, and I do it slowly, and so it's not stressful. But there's been so much stress in my life. I've been keeping up with the crazy rapid pace of technology and students and Zoom and classes and Facebook and internet, and my brain just exploded. So now what do I want to do? what do I want to do now that we got a fresh look? We all got a fresh look, whether we had to work or not during the COVID. We got a fresh look, and now we have to look at how we want to reorganize our lives now that we can step back out again.
Yeah, that's an amazing thought. Like I moved during COVID time. Well, I moved in December as we were like rounding that one corner. And so I kind of woke up in a new world where it's already less dense. There's more trees. There's no stoplights between here and town. And so I kind of put myself into a whole new experience. And just about a week ago, I was thinking about my relationship to my life. And I thought, oh, in your mind, I still have this relationship to Palm Desert. And I will be going back there next month for a little bit. But that my relationship to my daily life has completely changed. Now there's no street lights. I drive 40 miles an hour into town, and that's going fast. You're watching for deer, instead of watching for the yellow changing light. And so I absolutely put myself into a whole new different environment. And it's from that lens that I'm viewing the world.
Right. Yeah. And my mind did something really tricky. I just want to tell everybody we just got lightning and we just started a thunderstorm. I pulled out my my charger, so hopefully I'll stay on, but just giving a little warning. My mind did something so interesting. I have never, ever experienced this before. I was lying in bed, and part of my lifetime issue, and we've done many shows on this, is I just suck in pain. If there's pain anywhere, I just eat it. And it goes back to a Twilight Zone that I watched as a kid. And I took on a bad habit. And so my brain did something where I was meditating, and all of a sudden I saw that everybody in the world was dealing with exactly the same thing I was dealing with. Everybody in the world had the same diagnosis as me. There wasn't a person who didn't. And what my mind did with that is I can't help them. I can't help myself, so I can't help them. And it was such a healing thing, because all of a sudden, and I'm a compassionate person, all of a sudden I could push the entire world out of my psychic space, and I could just emanate love and not worry about what I was going to do with the climate, what I was going to do about this, how I was going to help that person. Everything in the planet is dealing with the same thing as me. So I have to deal with my own issue, and the planet has to deal with their own issue, and everybody else does. And that's the truth. It's the truth that every illness, every health issue, everything that comes up for us in life is part of our journey.
Mm-hmm. Yes, everything is part of the journey. When I would go into the addiction treatment center and talk to the, 30-day sober addicts, I would say, remember, every experience counts. How many times you relapse or how many times you have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off, all of those experiences count towards your spiritual bank account. The one you don't want to have is the one that kills you. That overdose, that one that might take you out seemingly early from this lifetime. But that, if you because they used to have this thing where people felt like they had to crawl back and ask for help again. No, it is all the same experience you're having. It's the same wind we're breathing.
Right. We're all dealing with similar issues, but what I'm seeing is, and the point that I'm trying to make, and I don't think I'm making it well, is we keep giving our power away to others. Fix me.
Right.
Somebody else fix me. Or Sandra has an issue. I'm going to fix her. But what if we're all on our own journey and you're actually robbing me of my journey, and you're robbing other people of their journey. You're actually robbing people of gifts. And so then I get into this whole thing of how we're digesting and absorbing, and I'm sure people have acid reflux from so much information that we're taking in right now through courses, free material, and all of that. And from my standpoint, the key of what we all really need to do right now is not go back into lockdown. I understand that people are ready to go out and live their lives, but find ways to reflect on a huge change just happened in the whole planet. And how are you going to take care of yourself? We have done shows on community, but if you're not a strong link in the community doesn't survive, or it's weakened. So before we can start talking about building strong communities, we have to build a strong link inside of ourselves. And that means we need to know how to listen to our intuition. We need to get our own visions. We need to be able to speak from our own voice, not from Renee's voice, not from my voice, not from the thousands of teachers that you're listening to right now. How do you go back in and be you as we move into a whole different time in our culture? I mean, it's exciting, but it really means, and I've shared this again on many shows, it means listening to you before you can be part of a community.
Absolutely. And you know that I have this whole thing about that you really have to start with the self and healing the self. And we've talked about, how much healing does the self need? Well, when I run into try to fix it mode to other people, then I always turned, like I was traveling with a friend, and of course I get triggered. And I'd say, oh God, she's being bitchy. And I have to turn it and put the mirror. Okay, where am I being bitchy? What? Where is the bitchiness living inside of me that I recognize that in her? And so it's kind of one of those things where you just have to keep, if you're upset with, as we step forward, if we're upset with something, what was placating us in that alone time or that out time that really was working for you, and maybe look at, well, I'd like more of that. Like right now, I'm building a house. I'm having so much fun. Somebody goes, oh, that's so stressful. No, I'm having fun. It's like getting out my crayons and coloring again.
Yeah, I am. I've been so engaged online that I've stopped some of my own morning rituals. And that's been devastating to me, absolutely devastating to me, because that, in order to be a strong link, you have to have a strong link with the creative forces of the universe. And if you break that link, you're never going to be a strong link on your own. And so I bought all new candles, and I rearranged some of my altar. I actually tripped on my altar the other day and destroyed it, which was, I thought, was an interesting sign that something new was getting ready to happen in my life. And I start my day, I smudge, and I clear myself, and I really let that sage smoke come up into my nose. I've discovered through brain research that what the brain loves more than anything is smells. And so I'm really getting into smells right now. And I do my Alaskan gem essences. There was a guy who was too sensitive to live, and he went out into nowhere and he started making essences out of plants and ice and all kinds of things that we don't get to see in our life. And so it's a sign to me, to my psyche. It doesn't matter what's in the essence. You could do it with water and blow good energy into it. It's a sign to me when I take that essence that I'm raising my frequency out of the denseness. And then I do a tarot card, and I should have started the show with this. I picked a card for our show today, and I got the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is about sitting in her power. It's the feminine energy. It's about trusting your intuition, trusting your psychic senses. And are you trusting others' intuition, others' psychic senses, or are you trusting your own? Bring that High Priestess energy into your life.
Those are all great ones. One of the things that I get back to when I'm transitioning is, the morning pages, writing 3 pages, freehand. And I've created a new fire pit out there with a rock altar all the way around it. The other day I come and the builders had moved it, and I was like having a little, put that rock back there. I had my compass out there. So I think that's a good point too, is like, what happens when then you get like you're doing something and you get off course, like traveling for a few days. I was doing this 40-day mantra process, and all of a sudden I'm in a room with a friend, and I want to do my mantra process before she woke up in the morning and stuff like that. That's was been a very good process for me to get back into, the mantras every morning. So there's just so many ways, but I think this goes back to the essentials. What are the essential practices you start with? And I love that as a chef, I love that it's all about the smell. When we're traveling, that's what we do is we sniff out restaurants by our sniffers. Like, oh, what does Yelp say? But what does my nose say?
Yeah. If you have a essence that you really love, and you go into PTSD, if you just put it by your left nostril and take a good whiff, but it's a calming essence, your brain will absorb it. It will take it in immediately. So, there's things that bring us back to being a strong link. And I read a passage in a very small book, and the passage is no more than 10 lines in each chapter, so it's not like a huge commitment. So you really want to think about, now that we're entering, it's like we're given a new chance. I know the COVID is still here. We have an international group listening to us, and I know that many of you are still in complete lockdown. But for those who are starting to step out, it does create a bit of PTSD. It really does. And so be gentle with yourself. Be really gentle with yourself. If you cry, let yourself cry. If you're not understanding why you're crying, it's relieving some pressure in your body. A lot of people are talking about getting angry, just like that. And it's just, we haven't settled yet. Allow yourself to settle. Start doing one spiritual practice that you really love, and let your body and your intuition and your heart talk to you about what does stepping into a new phase of your life look like? What's the first step?
Oh, that's great. I'd love for everyone to post in the Facebook group or on YouTube. What is that one spiritual step that you're going to, commit? And I don't know if commit is too strong of a word, but that you can start to put back into your daily practice. So it's something that you remember. It doesn't have to be something new because those are a little harder, but something that you do as a spiritual practice that might benefit somebody else if they say, oh, that might work for me too. And let's make a list of all the different spiritual practices we employ that could be helpful for those times when we're feeling a little bit strung out or hanging out there and flapping in the wind, that would reconnect you to the earth.
Yeah, and we are having the biggest rainstorm in Santa Fe right now. And I swear, we don't get rain that often. And so I believe the universe is sending down a message for us. It's a blessing. It's the land is soaking in nature, and it's time for us to soak in the nurturance, because we all need to regenerate. We've been in some form of PTSD, and we all need to regenerate and soak in. And I would say that what the water is telling us is, after the show, get a cup of water, hold it in your hands, and tell that water how much you love it, how much you love it. And close your eyes and see how much light is in it, and how high the frequency is and the vibration is, and drink it and bless it and say thank you. And just even doing that is a new way to start a new cycle in your life.
That was great. When you said that, I could see so much light in that water. So thank you.
Yeah.
And make sure you follow us over at the Shamans Cave on Facebook or shamanstv.com. And if you'd like this, when we drop a new show, if you'd like it right in your inbox, there's a sign up box on the shamanstv.com. And then we mail, and that's really all we mail is the show and something that Sandra's got going on and something that I have going on. And it comes to you every Wednesday morning.
We love doing the show, and we really hope that you'll spread the word to others. I know that you are. People are telling me they're sharing it with others, and how much people are loving the show. And we love you too, and we're sending you blessings as we navigate the river of life together, because the river is taking a twist. It's taking a turn, and where is it going to take us? We'll see. Blessings, everyone.